here's the reversal strategy I had in mind that I'm still sort of exploring, not acting on it, but this thing went up, put an indecision room to the left, and you low as your entry, and still be in it. Maybe stop out of break even on this white candle, but in this strategy, a stop is above the indecision, so you still be in it going down. But man, it's a tough one. That's why I don't use it. I'm still, if anything, interested in the long because it's been going up. This looks like an ABCD pattern in the works right here on the 30-minute chart. There you go. Super choppy right now. Higher lows for now. Again, it's only a few minutes. It's still the open. It's still holding below the opening price. Sellers are firmly at the opening price, it looks like. Something to think about. You want the buyers to overwhelm those sellers before you think about longs. Look at that news. U.S. trade deficit unexpectedly narrows in December. All right. Still have $1 trillion debt, right? Hardly. Man, news is something else, isn't it? Are we finding buyers stepping up? This is interesting price action. Overall, it's not an area to put on any risk in any direction, but to be able to observe it is really important. To be able to read it is important. Let's zoom in a little. So the opening price, we know there's sellers there. It's been rejecting there, but at the bottom here, you have the buyers stepping up, higher lows, right? Which is so far confirming my longer term or bigger time frame perspective. It's more likely a long than a short. So you're looking for these little bits and pieces of information. And sometimes they take hours to accumulate before you can have conviction to get into it. And then you still stop out. And that's perfectly normal. There we go. Buyers seem aggressive there, right at the opening price. Let's see if they're able to go. There you go. Broke out that big seller. You saw that? You saw that break happen? Pretty fast and aggressive. You could anticipate it almost. Now we have the high of day, which is the wick on the first candle. Let's see if it gets there. I'm looking to break that. So this is essentially that big old 5-minute ORB setup fallen angel thing that I always like to look at when I'm scalping, which I don't do anymore. What was the close yesterday? Oh, yeah. No, it's not fallen angel because it didn't close up. Anyways, drop and then push up and break out. That's the idea. Look at it. Here it is. Let's get up to the opening price. We have overhead resistance pre-market stuff. Get a good setup. So far, the setup is interesting, as in the buyers really stepped up down here. You can see these higher lows and then reclaim the opening price. At the moment, shopping around it. And ideally, it gets up to the high of day, which is only a few cents above, it looks like, and see how it behaves. This is a good spot for consolidation, really, above the opening price and below the high. If you get a nice tight consolidation, a few dojis or something, then you have a good opportunity for a breakout. Also, another little clue, look at that. These buyers are stepping up even up here. You see these wicks so far, higher wicks. You want to see that continue. This candle hasn't closed, but let's see. That's the kind of stuff I look at in candlesticks. Especially on a 1 minute when I'm looking to get a good entry. This is how I tend to read them. There we go, getting to the high. Are we going? Are we going? Let's put the cursor right there. You can see the line. That's the high. High day. There we go. Printed higher. There you go. Plenty of buyers in that. Off you go. Breakout. Fun, huh? Wait for the retest if you didn't already get into this. When I was scalping, I would have probably entered this a minute ago, or as it claimed the opening price, perhaps. I don't know, somewhere at some point. I've done all kinds of entries, but anyways, there you go. Looks like fun. Now, overhead, we know we have resistance. This is the whole pre-market area. It's up there right now, so expect resistance, which is good. It'll set up to come down and retest, ideally, retest the opening high. And you get that entry. Fun stuff. 30-minute chart, it's going nowhere right now. I'd wait for a 30-minute candle to close bullish. I'd like to have a big long tail hammer or breakout retest that would be above here. So the way I trade nowadays, still no entry. But for you scalpers, you would have already made a day out of it. There we go. We're finally getting price action to look at. That's worth looking at, right? We haven't had this in 2 weeks, I think. You can see the resistance overhead, the pre-market high. The sellers over there are pretty firm for now, even putting in lower highs. So an area you don't want to be playing with it, right? That's why on my 30-minute setup, it has to truly break there. That's the pre-market high. I can show it to you. That's it right there, approximately. I think it's this candle. And a break out of that. That's when the fun starts. That's when you get set up for a good move, I'd suggest. All right, so we're losing it. Where is it? Yeah, testing that opening price zone at the moment. You can see, right? It's pretty obvious battle between buyers and sellers. The buyers are here. Seems like they want to hold the opening price approximately, and the sellers are up here, the pre-market resistance areas. Right about there. So this is a no-go zone on the 1-minute chart. Absolutely no-go. Just wait for it.
So in the case of scalping, where would be the stop?
So stop as you pull the plug and walk away, huh? Shit.
I mean, if we were to end at the breakup high of the day, like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. So scalping, this sort of thing, you would enter at a breakout here, and I would likely put my stop below the entry candle. And then once this thing started moving, I start hitting the partial button, 5 or 10% at a time, and immediately I'd bring my stop in to pretty much break even. So the whole thing would be done in 20 seconds or something. And you'd get a tiny little profit out of it.
Thank you.
The scalping is, you got to understand, it's what you're really trying to do with this kind of scalping is put on massive size and capture tiny moves. But you know, you have massive size. You cannot afford for this thing to go against you, even just a little bit. And if it just pops in your favor, you got to start hitting that partial button to de-risk the size, which more than taking profits, you're looking at de-risk the size. That's very important. So scalping is it's not a formula I tend to like it. I've done it and I can do it. Again, there's easier ways to make money, and this is scalping is one of the easy ways to lose money.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Cool. All right. So these sellers look like they're in charge. You see these lower highs? See that? There you go. Now we got right in, right before it got those. Telling you guys, lower highs. These are the clues, man. Lower highs firmly these last 4 minutes. And you can see how low they pushed it in, right into the middle of the opening range. Ooh. So those buyers that were down there and they were overhead, they ran into firm resistance. Again, big no-go zone right now. Let's see where these buyers are now. They're pushing it again. Buyers came in right in the middle of the opening range. Right there. So far. Let's see how far they go. You can see every candle is telling you a story. The buyers got it, the sellers got it, the buyers got it, the sellers got it. It's like a football game. Offense, defense, right? Actually, it's more like rugby. And rugby is a lot more fun, man. There's no armor or nothing. The game doesn't stop. You get tackled, you got to let go of the ball. The game doesn't stop and you get a first down or whatever. No. Rugby is a lot of fun. Just tend to bump your head a lot. That hurts. But there you go. This is rugby. Look at this. You try to go long and short and long and short. Tell me how many times you bump your head on these candlesticks, huh? It's all here. All right, so
I think my
buyers were down here, pushed it here, and still not able to make another high, not even able to get up to the top where these sellers were. So far, sellers are still in the game, I'd say. Don't go long, basically. Hey, go
I
ahead,
think
Nancy.
Microsoft is moving nicely, and it's actually at the base of a channel in 1 hour chart, and now it's moving up. Looks to be pretty nice now.
Cool. Take a look, guys. Microsoft. Fun. That was another ticker that when I used to trade it with options, it was really squirrely because the liquidity wasn't quite there with the options. But also when you trade that stock, you got to make sure it's got a real catalyst to make it move. Otherwise, it don't really want to go anywhere. Similar to Apple. Apple and Meta. Microsoft's probably much slower moving than those in my memory. But hey, if it sets up and wants to go, that's great. Now here come the buyers. Now look at that. They just made a penny higher, just a cent. Still, you know that there's firm resistance overhead. Now that we have, 10, 15 minutes of action, look at this. The buyer's side, you have these higher lows. On the seller side, you have lower highs, but the buyers are obviously more powerful in the bigger picture of all this, which aligns nicely with the 30-minute picture I've got in mind. See, it's bullish, consolidation, and continue ABCD pattern. So the stars are aligning slowly. And when they align, you go long, you put your stop in place and go sit in the hot tub. Best thing you can do. Where's Atif? She's got to come tell us that story. It's not in here today. Oh, there you go. You see those sellers? That's one thing. No goes on. There you go. Go play rugby. Bump your head. Boom. Here we go down again. This candle is very telling because look, it came straight down so fast to where the most recent big sellers were, and they're still there. So far, if you're reading the tape, you can get the same information. I just like candles; they're easier to read. Yeah, still there, but man, these sellers, you can see them. Man. Oof. So still no go. Absolutely no go. Now you see why I tell you guys only amateurs trade the open. You guys love bumping your heads, you love losing money, blowing up accounts, and then giving me a call. Avi, I don't know what to do. Fuck, I told you don't do it. It's the story of my life.
I like
man.
the Avi method of setting on a trade and going to soak, going to the beach.
Yeah. I was even on the beach today when I put it on, and then I threw the phone in the bag and jumped in the sea.
Your brave soul
Perfect.
trading from your phone. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good fun. The thing is, my trading style has evolved to a point where the only indicators I need are candlesticks, like you see on my screen here. I certainly don't need any high-powered PC or fancy screen or anything like that. And just candlesticks, really, and I can watch them move just as fast on the phone as I can right here. No big deal. So, yeah, it works. It works. Look at that. The sellers are firmly taking over now. Total change of behavior, right? Where they took over from these massive buyers that were right in the middle, printed lower, lower low. You can see the highs getting lower. This is a messy. So this is going now contrary to the bigger picture that I've got in mind, which is all bullish. So what would I do when I have a contradiction? Don't touch it. Again, go to have a soak. Don't touch it without putting a trade on. Go to the hot tub. Now there's a little one I'll tell you guys since Eva was asking, talking about it. Was we were in when we did the trading trip, not trip, whatever. We were all in Colombia, and I was doing options at the time. I put on 4 different contracts on all these Mag 7 tickers. They total about 700 options contracts. I put it on and went into the hot tub with Paras and Atif and a few others, and we opened a bottle of rum. And that was it. Just let it go. Either hits the stop or it goes to the profits. I don't even know what happened. The bottle of rum went so fast. I didn't even know what happened. Whose money did it? I don't know. So there you go. Easy way to trade. Much easier than putting it on and then watching these candlesticks and bumping your head all the time. I really like to detach. It's so fun. You can go live a life. You don't have to stress out and then have anxiety problems and nothing. It's great. And not doing options allows that, because options, you got to watch them. Zero DT options, you got to watch them. Futures makes it easier, much easier. So there you go. So anyways, that's my direction. I'm going to trade from my phone more and more and more from some sailboat or something. We'll figure it out. There you go. Sellers again. Look at these candles.
Wow.
It is.
Big sell off on the SPY. I'm kind of interested in shorting Tesla via TSLQ. So I'm going to let it kind of break out and retest, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I don't see anything else on my end that looks juicy.
That's perfect. That means you're doing it right, where there's not too many setups. That means your trade book is nice and tight, or your checklist is nice and tight. Keeps you out of trouble. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
for
still
me-
looking at, I also look at Rigetti and NVIDIA and Palantir, but I trade all the leverage products. So if I want to short Rigetti, I look at RGTZ, or NVIDIA, I look at NVD, or Palantir, PLTZ, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, nothing yet. I'm just going to kind of let it ride, and that's why I like looking at the 5-minute chart, and I don't jump into a trade too quickly anymore. The 1-minute chart is just madness.
There you go. Again, good. We got another good experienced trader in the room. Lost enough money to learn his lessons. There you go, guys. A good example. Thanks, Evo. Thanks for sharing.
I just
that.
partialed low of London session. So I had a quick first trade. Obviously, it was taken out pretty quickly. And then as we had sustained volume on that second 5-minute candle, 935 to 940, and that 940 candle didn't want to do anything. You were talking about the lower highs on the 1. And when that new 5-minute opened, you could kind of see the candle push hard and reject like really quickly. So I got back in another short, partial low of London session. And I'm well green for the day right now. Break even on the runner. So 1 of 2 and green. What I'm doing is I'm testing myself to the specs of the prop firms in the sim before I even go to do the prop firm challenge, just to make sure, it's not about huge base hitters to get through the challenge. Once you're out of the challenge, you can do whatever you want. But yesterday, I think I made about $600, nothing crazy. So trying to stay within that 50% of your net P&L thing for 5 days, see how that works out.
Nice. Good job, man. Good job. Reading momentum for that entry on the 5-minute. That's pretty cool. Managing your risk as well. And knowing what you're doing in the bigger picture. There you go. Not getting lost in the noise. So a lot of good stuff going on in there. Thanks for sharing that, and congrats, man. Keep it up. There's lots and lots of abundance here. Lots of money to be made, guys. Just keep your head on your shoulders. Very, very important. Good stuff. Be sure to share some of those screenshots with us, Brian. Love to see them. They're always encouraging, always inspirational to see good stuff work out. All right, so that whole indecision candle and short situation would have worked. Again, that strategy that I told you that I keep exploring, not convinced yet today, so far would have been excellent. I would have put the target down there most likely, and then the next one would be in this chop zone. Would have hit the first one by now. The stop would be above the indecision candle, so you would have survived this whole opening chop. And it looks like you're on the way down. It'll probably mess around here because that's what it did the last time it was here. Just look to the left. So since it's going down, reverse ABCD, short makes sense. Unless it just pushes back up, just turns into a big bullish hammer, and that's when I'll go long. But that's a little later, perhaps. Cool. All right, guys, what, 5 or 6 minutes or so, and then I got to get into another call. What else is on your minds? Anyone got anything you'd like to discuss? Today's the last trading day for me that I'll come here and do these sessions, and then I'll come back in the new year. Of course, I'll pop in here once in a while if I see you guys in the chat rooms. Always get to come and say hi, but I'm going to take my mind off trading. That's the whole purpose, to be able to step back and get perspective and reevaluate and do the usual thing into the quarter. And like I said, though, if I see a decent setup, I'll put on something small on the phone, most likely. I don't intend on turning on the whole trading setup. And we have Christmas in a week anyway. Next week's probably gonna, I don't know, could be fun, could be nothing. I have no idea. But we are getting into Christmas, right? The whole sentiment is it's holiday season. It's not time to stay focused and risk money. It's time to overeat and get fat and all that stuff, right? It's the season for that. It's the one we're doing here. Yeah, look at that reverse ABCD pattern on the 1 minute. If you like fractal patterns, that's what you got here. We were just talking about it. That's the area for the consolidation and go, and it did that here. Anyways,
testing midline Asia right now. Sorry to interrupt you.
Alrighty, yeah, cool, man. All good. Yes, right about there. Yeah. So again, this is very telling. I want to share this with you guys. I don't think I've shared this often enough. Is when I'm looking for a setup. Let's say, yeah, today I was more interested in the long than anything else. So the clues I'm looking for are on the opposite side of the candle. Even I'm thinking about longs, but I'm looking at the bottom of the candles. I'm looking at, are these buyers stepping up higher lows? Right, that's the clue. And then with the higher lows, if we're getting a serious breakout, that would be my conviction to get in. And then even then, I most of the time nowadays I wait, let it break out, retest, and then I'm really in with some serious size. So I'm waiting for all those confirmations. What happened today is more than the higher lows. At first, the higher lows were really in charge until these lower highs were happening until this big one happened, pushed right into the middle of that opening range. Then again, a reverse hammer, so the sellers stepping lower, and then a big push right into the low, and beyond that, boom. So you before it did the breakout, you can anticipate it's looking good. Like the sellers are taking over. You can see the change of behavior. We had these higher lows, but then the lower highs happened much faster, very aggressively than these buyers. Sellers came in more aggressive than buyers. Very simple. And the candlesticks have been telling you that. You can find the same information on the tape if you like to read such things and stress yourself out. I don't like to. I just find it on these candlestick charts. So that would have set you up pretty neat for this breakout. Again, if I was interested in the short, personally, I still wouldn't take it. If I was interested in the short, firstly, the interest would come from a 30-minute chart, some sort of downtrend setup. And then I'd see all this and let it break out, then come and retest. And once it confirms a retest, the sellers are still there, stepping lower. I would enter probably in this area with a massive size and then go. So if I was interested today, I would not have even gotten involved, even if I was interested in the short, just because the retest is really something that I like to see. And my win rate's much higher when I do the retest stuff. But anyways, there you go. So when it comes to breakouts, one thing that I've always really appreciated is that firstly, breakouts happen after consolidations, obviously. And then the quality of the breakout is dependent on the quality of the consolidation. So here we go, the breakout to the downside, lower highs, and they were happening quick. You can see the behavior change. You can see when the sellers actually got out of bed and decided to show up, right about there. It's the quality of the consolidation that leads to a quality breakout. So very important stuff. A lot of times, this is what keeps me out of the market. 90% of trading is staying away from the market, right? Good fun. At least we have some good price action I'd look at today, rather than all the ugly stuff we've had recently.
Avi, do you prefer to switch to a 1 minute chart for precise entries and exits while looking at a larger time frame? Do you juggle the two? Or?
Yeah, well, I don't like to use the word juggle, but I'm looking for setups on the 30-minute. That's the big one I like. And then I want to also see a setup on a 1 minute, and then confirmation of the setup on the 1 minute, and then I'll put on the size. And then the target will be the levels on the bigger picture, the 30-minute. So that's about it. But after I enter the 1 minute, I still like to watch the 1 minute just for a little bit to be able to trail it a little bit. at least until the point where the stop is at risk-free around the break-even area. And that's when you go to the hot tub.
Hey, one other question. You talk about a retest. So once it breaks out, if I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, I mean, what's your comfort zone for a retest? Are you looking for a retest once it breaks out within a short time frame, say 15 minutes? Are you looking for a little bit longer, like 30 plus minutes, for it to kind of ramp up, come back down?
Yeah,
Where do you
timing
find
is
the most conviction in a retest?
depends on the speed of the market. At the open, it's pretty quick. Within a few minutes, you get a retest typically. But later in the day, I've waited 30 minutes at times for retests. It all depends on the pace of the market. I don't use time as one of my categories. It's levels, price action. And if it takes its time to get there, okay, it takes its time. And then when it gets there, I'll look at it. Is it retesting? Is it still a retest, or did it really do a full genuine move? And now it's no longer a retest, it's a reversal, which is what we were talking about with the meta earlier when Nasser brought that up. So it's not so much a time thing. I'm focused in on price. Price is important. Let me see if I can find a good retest somewhere. I don't see much. This was a bit of an ascending wedge. Not much here. Oh, here we go. Let's zoom in here. We can do this, and I gotta go. Another call starting now. Here we go. So you have this consolidation area. Then it did the breakout right here. This is your breakout, and you can see the breakouts now, like we say, are momentum situations. So it goes with momentum. It breaks that support. Okay, so it should overshoot. Should overshoot the support. Momentum carries it a certain distance, not a massive move, but a little distance. Then it comes right back to the breakout area. This is the area you can see where it pushed back into. And this all happened in, 10 minutes or so? And then how do you qualify that the retest is complete? Well, in this case, since I'm looking at a bearish move, I'm looking at it has to print a genuinely bearish candle where the low and the close are in the same place. And its price has gone from up to down, ideally with a wick. And this is perfect right here. This candle, absolutely bearish. Once I see this print, then the entry criteria for me is a low from that, a new low from that bear candle, which happened in the next minute. Right there would be the entry, the stop above the bear candle that I identified. And then it goes in your favor. Once it breaks that low, which was a breakout low, that's when I'd most likely bring the stop in a break even. And then I go to the hot tub. In another example right here, this is very, very telling. You see the breakout happened on the downside. Before it happened, you can already anticipate it's likely to be a good one because look at the quality of the consolidation here. The lower highs, the sellers taking over. And sure enough, they took over to a good little momentum breakout and a good little retest. And then once you get the retest, you're into it. That's a good one going down into previous support zones. That would be a target area right about there. So there you go. That's how I like to look at these things. Makes life easy, simple.